Okay, so let's look at this Android GPS location system and see what it does. Um, it is just going to try to grab the location out there and display it. So our layout file is just a simple text as a simple text view. TXT view 1, and then we're going to display the location on that. So there's not much to the interface for this. It initially is going to say waiting for location update, and then once we get a location update, we're going to change this text view to display the location. In the main activity.java file, it used to be that you could just go out and request the location with Android. In the current versions of Android, you've got to set up what is called a listener and do that. This is all done with through what's called the location manager. So the first thing you have to do is you have to get the location manager. So you say get system service, and you say this.location services.
What does it do?
So this gets a location manager, which is the object you call for all the location stuff. Let me jump back here. So I posted 2 articles from Android Developer that talk about, one talks about just the general location strategies and some of the issues we're going to run into. So we have multiple sources. We've got the GPS, we've got the cellular ID, and we have the Wi-Fi. Each of them can provide something, and some of them are faster, some of them are more accurate, and there's some battery efficiency issues. And it also how often they can be updated for this. And so this goes over in some of the timing of how things occur. We're basically just implementing this first example program that they have here and talks about setting up this location manager and then setting up these callbacks. And I also have a link to the code for the location manager. This talks about all the public methods you can have for this location manager. But I find the first one a little more helpful, which actually has sample code. So that's down here, the official Android development website, this location strategies. That's a good read. And again, that's the code we're implementing here is from that. So again, we're grabbing a location manager. As Google says, acquire a reference to the system location manager. So that's how we get it. And then we set up listeners for that. And there are, you have to define 4 different listeners. So 4 different methods that will be called. One is called on location change. So you know what that means when your location changes. That'll be called on status change, on provider enabled, and on provider disabled. So like if you turn on the GPS or turn off the GPS or turn on Wi-Fi or off Wi-Fi, you'll get these on provider enabled or on provider disabled messages.
Could you create like a button, like an on and off button based on those like thing right there? So when you click turn it on,
so you doesn't find anything more. When you turn it off, you don't find any location, but when you turn it back on, you look for location. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, I mean you could, well, so far we're just defining these callbacks. We're not enabling them, but you could have a button that would enable the callbacks or disable the callbacks. So let's just look right below it, down here. we do this call, we do a request location update. And so when we do this call, now whenever our location changes, or we enable or disable providers or whatever, then these methods will be called. So this sets up our location updates, basically says call these methods. So we provided a couple parameters, key parameters. The first one is that what kind of network we want to look at. We can look at the GPS services or the network provider services. So these are our two different services that we generally use. And then this location listener is this kind of class or this listener we defined up here, location listener. This class, little subclass or sub-methods here, these listener, that's the name of that is what we provide here. So once we have enabled this, like when we say request location updates and the location manager GPS provider and then location listener, that says anytime anything happens now with the GPS, call our methods defined up here. And same with here, we're calling network provider and that. So any updates that happen with the network provider, call this. And I think, let me look, that the network provider, is the cellular. I don't know if that's the cellular or the Wi-Fi network. Oh, yeah, and they're saying network location provider is for both cell phone and Wi-Fi based locations. So it's a combination of cell towers and Wi-Fi that it's using for that network provider. So let's try, well, on most of these, we basically just ignore it. What I'm just doing is logging an error or a message that one of these is being called. Only on location change am I so on location change, I'm given a location. So a location object is one of these new objects that's defined here. And I can get a lot of things from a location object. I can get the latitude, the longitude, the accuracy, the altitude, things like that. So this is a complex three-dimensional location object I'm given. And so I'm going to get the latitude and the longitude and the accuracy and display those into a string. I'm also going to get the provider where this location is coming from. And I'm going to format this into a string, and then I'm going to update. I'm going to grab my text field out there, and then I'm going to set the text in that text field with this new location string. And I'm also going to log this. And we'll talk a little bit about these logging errors or how to log messages, because I don't think we've done that much. But for now, just you can ignore all the little logs for this. Now, let's see if I can run this. So I'm going to run this on my actual device. Now, there is a way to spoof locations on an emulator, but it seems to be complicated, and I have trouble getting it to work. So that's why it's just easier with this sort of stuff to run it on an actual phone or device. So when I run it at first, it should say I didn't see the right version running on my phone. It should say waiting for location. still have problems with sometimes when I have these, when I run an old version on my phone, I update the code and I run it, and the updated code, so right now the updated code is not running on this phone because I ran it earlier with some older code. But it should run on yours because you probably haven't run this. It should say waiting for location, and then after a while, like a minute, it should have the updated location on it. It should say things like GPS or whatever, and then my longitude is 46.81 by negative 92.106. So it should display the location here. Right. So you're getting, so it'll either say network and then the location, or GPS, depending on what it has. And then we're at like 46.81. And then what's the longitude? Minus 92.
Is that number supposed to keep on changing? That number in the parentheses? Because earlier it was like 26, now it's 35.
That's just some guess as to how accurate it is from Google. So it's just trying to figure out how. So you're just saying that it thinks you're probably within 35 feet of that location for this. Let's see, how are we doing? Are you able to get this up and running?
Still waiting for location.
Still waiting for location.
Waiting for a while.
Huh. Couple things you can do is to make sure you've got location enabled on your phone. So go to settings, and there should be a location.
Yep, it's off.
Yeah, and turn location services on and say agree. Now if you hit this button, you should be able to go back to your location, turn that on. Yeah. Okay, oops, did you agree to it? You have to agree to it, yeah. If you go,
Location is on.
oh, so you're going to settings? Yeah, see locations off, just turn on. And go back to your thing. Oh, you have to agree to it, yeah. There. Whoa. So you got location working. What is that? Where are you?
Why is there a safe mode? Does that matter?
I don't know. How'd you even I didn't even know there was a safe mode.
I don't. That's probably why it's not.
Yeah. Try restarting it maybe. I don't know. So. Okay.
It's having problems with the connecting with the driver.
Oh, to the driver?
Yeah. I'm running it, so it should be on yours.
Yeah. Maybe try unplugging it and plugging it in again and seeing if that. Yeah. Otherwise, just unplug the USB port and plug it into a different USB port and see if it'll get the drivers the second time. Okay, I'm just going to mention this logging. I don't think we've talked about logging in this class, but there's a command in Android called log that just logs a message back to the developer console so you can see what's going on. So a lot of times when you're doing development and stuff, you might be doing some logging to see what's working. There are, so let me grab this. there are different types of logging you can do. So there's a verbose logging, there's info logging, error logging, debug logging, assert logging, and warning that you can do. So like if we're doing verbose logging, we use log.v. If we want info, it's log.i. If it's a warning, log.w to see. So again, if it's just little messages on the status, I generally use verbose logging, log.v. There's a tag, and then a string that's a tag, and a string for the message itself that you want to log. So in my code, I often just use my name as the tag or the app name. So I'm just saying log v Gibbons, and then like in this case, I'm saying this is when the on status change. I'm saying location on status change is called. Up here, I'm logging the actual location string we're getting or we're displaying in the text field. Down here, when I'm turning on my network providers, I'm just saying log v Gibbons and then setting location updates for network provider. So it's a good way just to kind of do little prints out. If you're used to Java, where sometimes you just say print line to kind of document your code, it's kind of a way of doing that. Now, where does this show up? When you run this, it should show what's called logcat, a catalog or display of all the logs here, and you can filter it by the type of log that's going on, and then you can also so here's like all the logs that are going on right now on the whole machine, I mean on my whole phone. So there's lots of logs that are happening. I can look at just the verbose logs that are going to happen. I can look at them just for my app. So my app is in thing. I can also look at just my tag. So I can type in a tag here and look at only that tag. And see what's running for that tag. So, and here's my logs with that tag. So it's a nice way to, sometimes if you just want to display information, we talked about using Toast to pop up little messages. We can do that. But you can also, if you don't want to display it on the screen, you just want to display it in this development area, you can use this log as a good way of debugging. So again, sometimes when you're working on your programming, you're not sure what's going on, just stick a bunch of log statements in there to log the steps and the different variables that are being displayed, and then you can monitor them here. There are other ways of doing debugging, but this is a nice, easy way to do that.